Okay guys, so in this video I'm going to be showing you how I do my brows. It's kind of a lot, but maybe not to some people. It's really not much to the technique that I use. I do have to correct the shape of them a little bit. See, like this one is more of like a and this one kind of rounds out a little bit more. Yeah, so if you want to see how I do it, just keep on watching. First thing is I'll take just like a spoolie kind of a deal and comb them out. And my eyebrows are a little bit different than most people's because they grow down. I don't know if you can see, like a lot of people, their brows will grow up here and then out and over. Mine grow sort of like over here and then they grow down there. So it's a little bit of a different shape. I'm sure a lot of you out there have this sort of a brow growth pattern. So it might be interesting to see someone who actually has that same thing going on. So Spoolie 263 from MAC, which is the synthetic one. It's a little bit thinner. You get more of a precise line with it. I'm going to be using Brun, Omega, and Copperplate. Once you've combed them, I just go on and put a little bit of a primer over them. I'm going to be using Too Faced Shadow Insurance. Just a really light layer. So the first thing I'm going to do is take a little bit of the Copperplate and start outlining at the bottom. I generally start right above my pupil. So I get that general bottom shape and drag it back through to the tail. And then I sort of just use the same brush with nothing else on it and sort of brush it up a little bit more in through the brow. And then I'll take a little bit of Omega and run it through the front and then back into that Copperplate. And then use a little bit of a lighter pressure here. And then go back to the Copperplate. And I create more hair here. I just draw outside of the actual hair because if I drew just the actual hair, it would just be like a... So I cheat it a little bit and make it a little bit fuller. It's also important to look at the brow from straight on and then see it from the side too. Because straight on it could look really nice and then the side it's got like a weird, you just have to be sure from each angle it looks kind of appropriate. So once you have that, I like to go in with a darker color. This is Brun. And these shadows that I'm using tend to be really rich and pigmented and smooth. So you really have to make sure, like, just putting my brush in there, look at all of that little dust. See? So you have to make sure you tap it off, or else when you start working with it on the skin, it'll fall down and it'll all be ruined. So tapping it off is very important, is what I'm trying to say. And sometimes it's unavoidable, especially with Brun. It is like, or maybe it's just the Brun that I have, but it's very, very rich, so yeah. But that's, you know, it's not terrible if you don't get it everywhere. If it's not too bad, then you can just clean it up with concealer, like we're gonna do in a minute. And then I take Brun again and run it on the top of the tail. And then I wipe off my brush and then just blend everything together. Sometimes I do come in a little bit more here and add some little strokes, but it's just gotta be whatever is left on your brush. I find that for me, the hair is so dark, if I just do this with Omega, it doesn't really look right. So if I have like a little bit of an Omega shadow here, this color, if I have a little bit of that, I'll just go on and stick a few strokes of Scene or Copperplate or some other sort of dark color. So it looks like actual hairs instead of just like a lighter blob of shadow. And you can also go back and comb it with your spoolie. That will always make it look a little bit more natural and broken up. Something else I should mention is if you want it to look even more natural, you could skip the priming step. Primer always makes the shadows much more intense. So the application's almost like a cake eyeliner instead of shadow. So yeah, you could just leave that off if you don't want as drawn on a brow as I prefer. So yeah. So this is just a little bit of Studio Finish concealer, mixed NC15 and NC20. I'm just going to run it under the brow. And on the top of the tail as well. Skipping this step also makes it look more natural, but can also make it look more messy. You can just use a powder foundation or your like a light eyeshadow or something underneath it. Yeah, but that's about it. That's how I do my brows. This is my other one. You see the difference. Different brows, very different. Okay, so that is the other one done. I know it looks really unbalanced because I have no eye makeup on at all, but generally, like, I wear my eye makeup every day, so when I put my eyebrows on, it's for the balance. You know, if you have like tiny little light eyebrows and like huge dark eyes, it just doesn't really work for me. So yeah, that's what I'm preparing for, is my huge eye makeup. The only other thing that I generally do is run a brow mascara through them. The brow mascara that I'm using is Beguile from MAC, which is more of like a blondie, dirty blonde kind of color, but it works through my brows because it sort of gives them a little more dimension. I know I used 3 eyeshadows already, but this gives them a little more texture, and there's also like a shimmer running through this, so it's a little more life-giving to the brow, so it doesn't look so sunken. Anyway. Also, if you get this, because they're kind of goopy, you have to like sort of wipe them off. and be really careful when you're applying, because if you have a specific brow area and you're putting mascara over it and you don't have too many hairs, you're gonna end up hitting skin. So if that happens, just wait for it to dry, like wait 10 minutes and then it'll come off with a Q-tip. But if you just wait for it to dry. And there you go. Those are my eyebrows that I put on my face. Hope you enjoyed, and thank you for watching my eyebrows.